Hello everyone and welcome to another video. As the clay court season reaches its climax, all top players gather in the beautiful city in Paris to compete for the second Grand Slam of the year. This year's edition is probably one of the most unpredictable, with the likes of Sinner and Alcaraz coming back from an injury, Djokovic not in his best shape, Zverev coming hot from a title in Rome, and some who has performed really well in the clay season such as Ruud, Tsistipas and Rublev. And of course, you can never rule out the king of clay, Rafa. With the French Open just around the corner and the draw is out, let's take a preview of the men's draw to find out those interesting and potential matchups. In the top half of the draw, there are 4 sections. Of course, we have our number 1 seed Novak Djokovic in this section. He's playing against Herbert in the first round, and I don't think it will be a problem for Novak because Herbert is more like a doubles player than a singles player. Some other seeds in the section is Musetti, Cerundolo and Tommy Paul. Musetti and Monfils may set up a potential second round here. 2 players that are not really in form this season, but I see Musetti winning this one given that he plays a little bit better on clay. But I won't be too surprised if Monfils win this match, but I'm going to stick with Musetti. In the third round, Djokovic predictably playing Musetti. They played here 3 years ago where Novak came back from 2 sets to love to beat him. Both of the players are not playing their best tennis currently, but we know that Novak is different in Grand Slam. He always finds his rhythm and peak at the right moment. So I just don't see an upset here. Novak will get past Musetti in 3 straight sets. For Cerundolo and Tommy Paul is actually a 50-50. Cerundolo can sometimes produce really good matches on clay, but Paul had a great week in Rome last week, making the semis there, so I'll give a slight edge to Tommy here. He's the one more in form. So a 4th round match here featuring Novak and Tommy Paul. They played each other in AO last year when Novak won in 3 sets. I think Tommy is a really complete player, but unfortunately I just don't see him beating Novak because he doesn't have a specific weapon or something special to trigger Novak. I would say a tough 3 or 4 setter to Novak. Overall, it was a really nice draw for Nole, and I see him cruising past this section of the draw quite comfortably. Into the second section, we have our number 7 seed Ruud. He's playing against Czech youngster Mensik in the first round. Mensik was not performing well prior to Roland Garros, and I believe he's much better on hard court. So I think Ruud is getting past without much trouble. And for 3rd round matches here, I'm picking Kokkinakis versus Fritz. So some of you may ask why I'm not picking Mannarino, because Mannarino has not won one single match on clay this season. Also, his game, which is hitting flat and low, just does not suit to this surface. And Fritz is actually in a really good shape, constantly making deep runs into tournament this year, a final in Munich, semis and quarter in Madrid and Rome. Despite his defeat a few days ago in Geneva, I just feel that he already had more than enough matches to build up his form and fully prepared for Roland Garros. Another 3rd round match is Casper Ruud versus Etcheverry. Both of the players love this surface so much. They both have quite similar game, I would say, hitting with a lot of topspin and try to create spaces for the forehand for the attack. But I think Etcheverry is kind of like Tommy Paul. He has a complete game, but doesn't have the big weapon to trouble big players. So Casper is going through this one in 3 or 4. The 4th round is Casper Ruud versus Taylor Fritz. If the match is played on hard court, I may pick Fritz, but on clay, I just don't see Fritz beating Ruud here, especially the success Ruud has in this tournament. I think a tight 4-setter for me going to Ruud. Overall, a decent draw for Casper here, and he should be capable of making to the quarter. Things get interested in this section just by looking at the first match. Sasha Zverev against Rafa. Just what kind of draw is that? It is sad that one of them has to leave the tournament this early. Sasha is playing with a lot of confidence, but you can just not rule out Rafa, the king of clay, especially considering that this may be the last French Open he is playing. He will definitely give his 200% in the match. They played here 2 years ago where Zverev unfortunately had to retire due to a severe ankle injury. But that first 2 sets were surely one of the best tennis you could have ever seen, and we may witness it again this time. I'm sorry Rafa fan, but I think Zverev is going to take this one because of his current form. but I will surely not be surprised if Rafa pulls an upset here. A dark horse in this section is Luciano Darderi. He's producing consistent results on clay and his game is perfect for the surface. I think he will beat Kriegspur in the second round to set up a third round match against the winner of Zverev and Nadal. And I think here will be where his clay court season comes to an end, but it's really fabulous season for him. And also there are Karen Khachanov and Holger Rune in this section. Both of these players have not played their best tennis on clay yet this season. They will both reach third round and I think Holger will take this one. Although not finding his form, he made consistent results in Roland Garros in the past few years, and he's always hyped when playing at Grand Slam events. My predicted fourth round is Sasha Zverev up against Holger Rune. Honestly, Rune is very unpredictable. Sometimes he can play like prime Novak and run so fast and beat anyone in his day, but sometimes he can play so poor, just as his semi-final match in Munich versus Struff, where he got badly destroyed. It will be a fun one, probably a close four-setter, but I'm leaning on Zverev winning this one. He's just more consistent this season, and I think he's going to pass this section. In the last section of the top half, on number 5 seed Daniil Medvedev is leading the field. He has a fairly nice draw for the first 3 rounds. I just don't find any players that can damage him. The dark horse in the section is Jan-Lennard Struff. He won his first title in Munich this season, went toe-to-toe with Tsistipas and Alcaraz in Rome and in Madrid. His high-risk, high-reward game can cause damage to any player, especially as I predicted that he's going to play against Alex de Minaur in the third round. It is a perfect matchup for him since he takes the ball very early and always attempts to serve and volley. De Minaur is not good on clay and his defensive gameplay is not hurting Struff, and is ideal for Struff to execute his aggressive playing style, and I believe he's going to win in 4 sets. The fourth round will be Struff up against Daniil. Daniil has a similar game as de Minaur, but of course more like an upgrade version. I think the serve will be the deciding factor to the match. If Daniil can deal with Struff's serve and volley, then I think he can find a way to go through this section in a tough 4 or 5 sets. Now we move on to the bottom half of the draw. In section 5, we have an epic first round encounter here, Hugo Humbert and Lorenzo Sonego. They previously played 5 times, with Humbert leading their head-to-head series 3-2. The latest encounter comes in this year Monte Carlo round of 16, where Humbert got the better of Sonego in a close 3-set. I think that this match could possibly end up in a 5-set, and eventually I think Humbert will clinch the victory here. If you look at the draw, you could see a potential third round between Rublev and Fils here, 2 of the hardest hitters in the game. Fils just won a challenger last week, and Rublev picked up a title in Madrid. They have played each other once this year in hard court, which Rublev won in 3-set. I think we're going to witness a lot of baseline rally with hard-hitting shot, but I think given Rublev's experience, he's going to prevail against Fils in this one. Another potential third round between Tsistipas and Hugo Humbert. You know, Tsistipas normally wins this one, but Humbert is a player that we should never overlook. He has an aggressive game, producing magnificent strokes from both forehand and backhand wing. As a lefty, he can trouble Tsistipas by constantly playing to his backhand. We all know Steph has a great forehand in which he can dictate the game, creating angles, but his backhand is more prone to making errors. Having said that, Tsistipas predictably should find a way to come through in 4-set, I think. For the fourth round between Rublev and Tsistipas, 2 of the most informed players in the clay season, both of them will aim to win points by being the aggressive one, especially on the forehand wing. Rublev can hit the ball harder than Tsistipas, but I'm afraid that this monotonous gameplay can take a toll on Rublev. On the other hand, Tsistipas has way more variety with his slice and drop shot, which can be mixed to create different rhythm. In my opinion, Tsistipas is going through this section with a 4-set victory over Rublev. In this section, we have the number 3 seed Carlos Alcaraz. I think we will witness a huge upset here in the first round. Shelton is getting knocked out by Hugo Gaston. As we may know, Hugo usually plays well here in front with the crowd on his back, and he also has a lot of variety in his game. Shelton is struggling to find form in clay. A stat to note is that he has still never won 2 consecutive matches on clay in his career, except for Houston Open, where the conditions there are different from normal clay. Given his inconsistency, I will not be surprised if he loses in the first round. We also have Kei Nishikori back in the Grand Slam for some while since his injury a couple of years ago. Very excited to see what he can showcase upon his return. My prediction is that he will win one match and unfortunately fall short against Gaston in the second round. Jack Draper is another dark horse in this section. He can potentially play Carlos Alcaraz in the second round. Although he didn't perform particularly well in the Clay Master this year, he's always a threat to me against big players. Having said that, I think Carlos will figure out a way to go through this test. The third round, Auger-Aliassime and Hugo Gaston. I know I'm making bold predictions here, but I'm taking Gaston to upset Felix here. Alcaraz, on the other hand, will play Sebastian Korda in the third round. It will not be a problem for him, and he will beat Gaston afterwards as well and go through this section. Honestly, Alcaraz's draw is pretty comfortable, just as Novak's one. Number 8 seed Hurkacz is joined by other seeds such as Tiafoe, Tabilo, and Grigor Dimitrov. A first round encounter between Shapovalov and Van Asche is something we could look at. I'm seeing Van Asche making an upset here. Shapo is inconsistent, and on clay especially, where he is not that good compared to hard and grass. I don't know if I can call this an upset, but I just see Van Asche winning this one. A potential third round matchup featuring Tabilo and Grigor Dimitrov here. Tabilo is coming from an excellent result in Rome, defeating the likes of Djokovic, Khachanov, and Ruud to the semis, and just fell short to Zverev in a tight 3-set. It gave him a lot of confidence that he is capable of beating big players. If he continues to play like how he played in Rome, he can be a real dark horse in this section. But I think that with experience and everything, Dimitrov will get the better of Tabilo in a thriller. Very likely a close 4 or 5 setter here, but Dimitrov will get through it. I think Hurkacz will make it to the 4th round without much trouble, beating a qualifier, Nakashima, and Tiafoe, who is not in a great shape. And for Hurkacz and Dimitrov for the 4th round, Hurkacz has overall a better clay season than Dimitrov and is more in form. These two always produce classic when they play, so I just can't wait to see this matchup. Just in my opinion, I think Hurkacz is going to get through this one in 4 sets. Finally, the last section of the draw. We have some interesting matchups in this section. Another blockbuster first round between Andy Murray and Stan Wawrinka. 2 multiple Grand Slams winner drawn in the first round. I'm very grateful to witness these legends playing against each other at the later stages of their career. I hope for an epic 5-setter like they produced before. But if I really have to pick a winner, I have to go for Andy. I'm sorry, Stan, but I think Andy is going to win this one. We also have a potential Nicolas Jarry and Sebastian Baez encounter in the 3rd round. Jarry is playing some of his best tennis in his life, reaching the final in the previous week in Rome. His playing style is kind of similar to Struff. When they are on, it's super tough to beat them. Baez is also a spectacular clay court tennis player, but I think Jarry's firepower will be too much for him to handle. I of course cannot miss out Jannik Sinner. He plays Eubanks in the first round, and I don't expect any surprise here. He will comfortably get past the first 3 rounds, perhaps a possible clash with Andy or Stan. And for Sinner and Jarry in the 4th round, again 2 of the hardest hitters in the tour, but Jannik's baseline game is just too good for anyone to handle, and he's going to beat Jarry in 4 sets. For quarterfinal, I'm picking Novak over Casper, Sasha over Daniil, Alcaraz over Tsistipas, and Sinner to beat Hurkacz. And for semis, Djokovic beating Zverev and Alcaraz beating Sinner. For the final is Djokovic versus Carlos Alcaraz. Last year, Alcaraz unfortunately cramped in the middle of this match when he was playing actually at a really high level. He has also proved that he can beat Nole in a Grand Slam final in Wimbledon. For Novak, he should be very motivated to win a record-breaking 25th Grand Slam and boost his confidence for the event he prioritized this year, the Olympics. I'm seeing an absolute classic here. I'm going to take Novak in 5. You may say that I'm biased or something given Novak's current form, but I'm sure that No will raise his level and again complete the impossible. Thank you for watching, guys. Do comment down below your thoughts on the draw and who is going to win the tournament. Roland Garros starts soon, so grab some popcorn and enjoy the amazing matches in the coming 2 weeks. I will come back in 2 weeks' time and see how my prediction goes. Hopefully it doesn't go that wrong. Thank you everyone again, and see you soon.